afternoon and welcome to Be the Light. I am Denise Rezsonya, your show host, and we are here live at the Wofford Theater in Noblesville. And today we are doing one of our Be the Light award winner segments, which are really, really fun, and I'm very excited about this. My first guest today is Zack Reising. Zack is a sophomore over at Noblesville High School. And Zack is here because he is incredibly inspirational. And I know what an inspiration he is to me personally, so I know that he's going to be to all of you as you watch this episode and hear more about this awesome guy. So how are you, Zack?
Good.
Good. Thank you for being here today.
Yep.
So Zack has cerebral palsy, which you guys found out when you were about 3 years old, right?
Correct.
Yeah. The thing about it is, yes, you have cerebral palsy, but you don't let it slow you down at all.
No.
Not at all.
No way.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You typically, it takes you up to 9 times more energy per day to do the same thing that most kids do, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's got to be horribly exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yet you still go to school.
Yeah, even though that it's a long walk from classes to classes, but
Yeah.
yeah, I do it.
And you're doing that at this point without even the assistance of a walker, is that correct?
No.
Okay.
At school, I use a walker.
Okay.
But at home, I don't use a walker.
That's awesome.
Because I'm in, like, a safe environment and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I know that when Zack and I sat down to meet, I was so excited because you came walking in and didn't have a walker, and I had never seen that before. I was so impressed when we sat down to meet that day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And the reason why is that you had a selective dorsal rhizotomy surgery. That's kind of a mouthful, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So that was back in 2013.
Correct.
Yeah, it was a pretty long surgery, 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, from what I understand, that surgery was the answer to some prayers, though, huh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
So before the surgery, you were having maybe a lot of pain?
Yes, I was in my knees because I had a couple of stress fractures in my knees.
Okay. Now, were you in a wheelchair at that point?
From January until the time I left for St. Louis where I had the surgery.
Okay. And so since then, you have been able to go from a wheelchair to walking.
Yes.
That is incredible. You should be so incredibly proud of yourself. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not only all of that have you accomplished with going to physical therapy 3 times per week and 4 times during the summer,
Yes.
but you also are working on your pilot's license, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you become interested in aviation?
I've always been interested in flying. The main reason I got into flying was back when I was a little guy. I went to a meeting with my dad, and up on this wall, it had Neil Armstrong's picture on it, and that just got me started right then and there.
So Neil Armstrong inspired you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So he inspired you, and now here you are inspiring other people. You are also working on your Eagle Scout, right?
Yes.
So you're trying to organize a project with Bethel Lutheran Church, is that correct?
Yes.
And at this point, do you have some idea of what that project might be?
Yes, I do. Actually, today I went out there and kind of planned where I'm gonna put the path.
Okay, so it's going to be a path, and is that path going to be for exercise and leisure, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay, so if people want to help with that path, you'll need helpers, right?
Yeah, I'll need some landscape architects or donation the money, because I have to create my own budget to do everything.
Okay. So if anybody is interested in getting more information about that, they can just contact me and I can put them in touch with you then?
Yes.
Does that sound good? Okay. Now also, on top of all of that, you're not busy enough, you are on the Unified Track Team.
Yes.
Yes. Over at the Noblesville High School. So you like the shot put?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your other favorite?
I like the 100-yard dash.
The 100-yard dash. That's just absolutely awesome. You also serve a lot at church. I've seen you acolyting. Yes. You mow the lawn, I understand. You're out there driving around on a tractor helping out.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, the thing is I had the opportunity to hear Zack speak, and I can honestly say that his speech was so inspirational, it brought me personally to tears. Because, I might get up every morning and I complain about this or that. Yeah. And here's a young man who gets out of bed every morning and has a whole lot going on that I don't, and doesn't complain. He gets up and he goes about his day, and he's amazing at it. And Zack was kind enough to let me have a copy of his speech.
Yes.
And when I looked through it, there were 6 times in this 4 pages where Zack said, I felt blessed. I feel blessed. I felt blessed. And that is just such an amazing message that I'm so thankful that you shared that message, and that we're having the opportunity to now come on TV and share all of your inspiration with everybody else, because I'm absolutely amazed by you and I'm inspired by you. And I'm so thankful that you came here today to talk with us. Do you have anything else that you want to share with our audience? I definitely think No Limits describes you. I really do. Yeah.
Well, another thing I would like to bring up is the surgery I actually had.
Mm-hmm.
People say no way, Jose, on this particular surgery. This guy, Dr. Park, that has done over 3,000 surgeries.
Okay. So Dr. Park, and he's in St. Louis.
Yes, and he was the one who operated on my back.
So do they say no way, Jose, because of the...
Well, when I met with my doctor here and said, why in the heck didn't you give us this information in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
He said because we're worried that since you'll lose the spasticity, which is the shaking in my legs,
right,
that you won't be able to walk anymore.
Okay.
And yeah.
But you've completely shown that that's not the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is awesome. Well, I want to give you something. Michael James Meddy, who is the singer who has a song at the beginning of the show called Bring Forth the Light, has sent signed copies of that single for you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And also Chick-fil-A here in Noblesville has given you guys backpacks full of all sorts of cool stuff. So I hope that you will enjoy your gifts. And I thank you so much for being on and talking with me today and letting us recognize you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I guess it's my turn, isn't it? We'll be back with Be the Light in just a moment. I'm like, why are you looking at me?
You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Everyone knows it's easy to find first-run movies in the big theaters. But where can you go to watch your favorite classic movies on the big screen for the perfect night out? Why rent a flick when you can rent the entire theater? Call today to reserve our 32-seat theater for your next event, or just stop by to see what's showing this weekend. The 14 by 7 foot screen and the high quality digital surround sound system offers all the amenities you would expect from the big theaters, with a laid back atmosphere and comfortable seating of your own home. Wofford Theater at 1744 South 10th Street in Noblesville gives you the classic movies you want with a big theater experience.
You're up.
Welcome back to Be the Light. I'm Denise Rezsonya, your show host. And I would like to thank our show sponsors today, Jim Wofford, the Wofford Theater, and Hamilton County Television, for having us here live at the Wofford Theater. Hopefully I won't trip over my tongue this segment. So we have our second Be the Light Award winner today, and this is Vincent Hammer. So welcome, Vincent. Glad to have you here. You can say something, it's okay.
You can always say hi.
So Vincent is a 7th grader over at Noblesville West Middle School. And Vincent has a shirt on today and a necklace, and both of these things kind of symbolize what he's all about. His shirt says Tatum's Bags of Fun, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. And then his his necklace has all the symbols of the fact that he is a triathlete. This young man is 12?
Yes.
12, and he is a triathlete. Not only is he a triathlete, he's actually not the youngest triathlete in his household. So I am incredibly impressed by this. I myself didn't even make it over to the gym this morning, so to be a triathlete at such a young age, I'm just so impressed. I wasn't even an athlete at 12. Very similar to Zack, it's interesting that you guys have a lot of the same interests. You are also planning to become an Eagle Scout, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so what about project ideas for you? Have you given some thought to anything?
I actually kind of had to start over with my thinking because I had a plan for building a dog park.
Yep.
And a week after we got a meeting scheduled with the Hamilton County Parks Department director, the city announced a $600,000 dog park project.
Gotcha. So it's back to the drawing board.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll be interested to hear what you decide to do. Now, you are also, aside from being a triathlete, you're a member of 4-H, correct?
Correct.
I remember seeing you over there this summer when we were doing some filming over there. So now, how did you become a triathlete?
A few years ago, my dad decided that he was going to start losing weight, so he started running, and through his group of running friends, he discovered triathlon. He did a season, and then I got interested just because it seemed like so much fun, even though it was a lot of work. And after a few seasons, he discovered Tatum's Bags of Fun because they had a deal where if he raised, I don't remember the exact amount of money, for the charity, then they would get him a spot in an Ironman.
Okay, because that's expensive.
Yes, it's very expensive.
So what is Tatum's Bags of Fun then?
It is an organization that benefits kids with cancer in hospitals. They take a backpack and they fill it with games.
And that backpack is really full.
Yes, both of them are very full. They have an age-appropriate electronic. For example, there's a leaf pad in here and a Kindle Fire in there.
Wow.
And they go to kids diagnosed with cancer in Indiana.
Okay, so now all of these bags then are funded by donations?
Yes,
Okay.
They're all 100% donation.
Okay, and so now this is an organization that you are a very big advocate of.
Yes.
You even did I can't remember, what was the exact name of that bike-a-thon that you did?
Sufferfest.
Sufferfest, yeah, that's appropriate. And then,
Yes.
so you
All
rode
together.
a spin bike for how long?
10 hours.
10 hours. I can barely get through a 1 hour class. So 10 hours. And that was to raise funds. And also, wasn't there a deal where you shaved your head?
Yes. So, in order to raise enough money, I pledged that if I got a certain amount of money, which I think paid for 2 bags of fun,
Okay.
then I would shave my head. And a massive amount of funds started coming in. I ended up with enough money to fund, 4 bags of fun and a little bit more.
So did you shave your head, grow it back, and shave it again? What'd you do?
Well, I think shaved my head twice now.
Oh, wow, okay.
Because they did a shave-a-thon, which again, you raise a certain amount of money and you shave your head. So it was a huge event, and that was the first time I shaved my head, and it really got me involved in the charity because it made me understand and want to do more.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, shaving my head was never a big deal because I kept it shaved for a couple of months.
Okay.
And yes, I got made fun of, and I shook it off. If they're going to make fun of me for supporting a charity, then I don't need to associate myself with them.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And Tatum is she in remission at this point?
Yes.
Okay,
She's
so
a 2-time cancer survivor.
And how old is she now?
She is, I think, 15.
Okay, so she's maybe high school.
Yeah.
And so Tatum actually started this because of her friend Gabby.
Yes, she received a bag of fun from the Gabby Krause Foundation. And once Gabby passed away, Tatum saw the opportunity and either took it over or started a new charity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure, but started doing the same thing for other kids.
So kind of a pay it forward, and
yes,
that's really wonderful. I'm sure that Gabby's family must be very appreciative of that. So going forward, how do you plan to continue to support this charity?
I'm just going to continue to do everything I can. I think the organization, when they did the Sufferfest event, they called it Suffradraiser, and I think they're doing another one this year, and my goal is to participate in it again,
Mm-hmm.
and just continue to raise as much money and do everything I can for them.
That's really awesome. Now, I did put a link on my website to Tatum's Bags of Fun, and it's also up there on your screen. My website is www.denisemrezzonya.com, which is DENISEMREZSONYA. And that way, if people want to get involved, they can go check out the link. So now, as far as if they want to contribute to you directly or help you raise funds, how would they do that? Could they contact me and go through your mom or something?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So if anybody wants to help support Vincent in this awesome endeavor that he's got going with Tatum's Bags of Fun, just contact me and I will put you in touch with his mother. Or again, you can get information on Tatum's Bags of Fun at www.tatumsbagsoffun.com, or just go through my website. One thing that I wanted to also mention when we were talking about the Sufferfest, if I'm remembering correctly, you guys hit the Guinness record? Was that event?
Yes.
That was that event.
Our group collectively broke 2 world records. 3.
2? Whoa.
3, sorry.
No kidding.
We had, I am the youngest person to ever complete the challenge. And then our group was the largest overall group to ever do it, and we also had the largest group of women to ever attempt it at once.
Wow. Well, that is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we took up a whole cycling studio, and we actually had to use the upper floor, which is kind of a weight room setup. It was very full and very hot.
Yeah.
We had, I think, 4 or 5 fans up in that one small area, probably no bigger than the studio.
So did you have to eat and spin at the same time?
Yes, I actually ended up eating microwave mac and cheese while riding my bike.
Wow. Well, I am honestly incredibly impressed, and just as I was with Zack, I'm very inspired by you also, Vincent. And I did want to also show you that Chick-fil-A has graciously also donated a backpack for you. A gentleman named Bob Salmon, who writes children's books, would also like to donate these books, which are called Beyond the Laces. And these are for Tatum's Bags of Fun. Cool. So he would like those to go directly to that charity. And also, Mr. Michael James Meddy has also donated a signed copy of his single, Bring Forth the Light, for you.
That's cool.
So I thank you so much for being on the show today and for everything that you're doing and all the inspiration that you're providing. And I'm so glad that I had a chance to talk with you.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. So we will be back in just a moment with more Be the Light.
You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Everyone knows it's easy to find first-run movies in the big theaters. But where can you go to watch your favorite classic movies on the big screen for the perfect night out? Why rent a flick when you can rent the entire theater? Call today to reserve our 32-seat theater for your next event or just stop by to see what's showing this weekend. The 14 by 7 foot screen and the high quality digital surround sound system offers all the amenities you would expect from the big theaters with a laid back atmosphere and comfortable seating of your own home. Wofford Theater at 1744 South 10th Street in Noblesville gives you the classic movies you want with a big theater experience.
Well, hello. We're just having all sorts of snafus today, aren't we? The joy of live TV. Welcome back to Be the Light. I'm Denise Rezsonya, and I am now welcoming Judge Steve Nation to the show. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Sorry for being a little discombobulated there for just a moment. So today we are going to talk about in this next segment the Youth Assistance Program, which until just recently I hadn't even heard of. But now that I've heard of it, I've had a chance to do some research on it. I think it's an incredibly amazing program, and I'm very excited that we're going to take some time to talk about it today. So, I read through all the material that I have here.
Okay.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Go for it.
Okay. And it looks like, kind of going back to the beginning of the Youth Assistance Program, that this all started to come about roughly around 2008.
Correct.
Correct, okay. So at what point did you start to get involved with it?
Probably at the end of 2008, 2009, because that's when I was called in to go ahead and help coordinate and be with Mayor Andy Cook over in Westfield.
Mm-hmm.
He'd found an issue within Westfield and then wanted to go ahead and figure out exactly how they could deal with it. And one thing led to another, and my minister was talking with him, and my minister said, "Why don't you talk to Steve Nation?" And we sat together and we talked, and I said, well, we could go ahead and try this. And so what we did, we started to go from an organization that had previously been created in 1995. We sort of adapted that into this, and then we took a little from the Michigan model and sort of put them both together, and then added our own little twist from Hamilton County. And then it came about to where we were. We went with the schools to see exactly how the schools would like this. And then after we met with the school administration and the counselors and the teachers, and finally we ended up in front of the legislature to get a bill passed.
Okay. So the actual underlying mission of the Youth Assistance Program is to kind of identify youth who maybe need some extra help, identify
Yes.
those areas where they need help, and maybe, do you also assist the families?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a voluntary program, and so we approach the families. Even if the child is asking for services, we always approach the families, and it's their determination of whether or not they wish to go ahead and to receive services from it. And that's how it starts. Somebody may refer the child to us, and then the next thing we do, we go to the families to find out whether or not whether they want the services. They may need them, but it's still their decision.
Okay. And the types of services that are offered include mentoring, tutoring, and then can you kind of elaborate on what coordination of services is?
Again, the mentoring is to give the vision to the child. Maybe the child doesn't have the vision of exactly what they want to do. The tutoring is to keep the child up with the class that he's in or she's in, and to prepare them for the next year. And the coordination of services is, how did you come into the system? Well, you maybe came into the system because you don't have a house today. Well, so that may mean coordination of services by going through the trustee's office. It may mean that we may have to set you up with a pantry because there's not food coming in. One of the first cases we had over in Westfield, we had a young man that came back from summer vacation, and after he came back from summer vacation, we were called because he was aggressive. Now, he was not that way when he left from vacation, and when he came back from vacation, he was aggressive. And so what happened was, found out that he was playing baseball with his father in the summer. Threw the baseball at the dad. Dad missed the baseball from his mitt. It hit the dad in the chest and killed him. Now this is a poor family. Dad was the breadwinner. So the mom had no idea, okay, where do I go? So coordination of services, what do I do? I mean, the dad was bringing home the paycheck, was paying for the trailer, and in other words, that was it. So we set her up with the trustee, we set her up with opportunities for her to get a job and how to do this. We set up the 3 kids with mental health services from Aspire, just to get them beyond this and to go ahead and do it. And see, my frustration as a judge, being an adult and in juvenile, if the first time I would have seen the boy was because he hit somebody, see, under our zero tolerance, that boy would have been kicked out of school for a year. And then I would have been there in the juvenile court trying to say, you didn't kill your dad.
Right.
And that's not a good position, because then I probably identified him as the dropout because now he's out of school, and then how do I get him back into school? This way, never came to the juvenile court. He's doing well, still in school, and straight A's.
Good. Awesome. So you mentioned earlier that sometimes people are referred to this program. So typically, how would they be referred?
Probably about 90% is through the school. So in other words, the counselor, the teacher, somebody in administration, there's something that they're seeing that the child is coming to school sleepy or something is going on. So that at that point they go ahead and refer that child to services. Then we go ahead, as I said, we'll contact the parents, or sometimes it's the custodian, it might be the grandparents raising the child and not the parents. And we go ahead and to find out, do you wish services? And then if they do, then we go ahead and start organizing a plan around that. As, okay, why is this happening? And then how do we go ahead and get out of this?
Okay. So most of the time, do they accept the services then?
Probably about 70-75% of the people we contact first will say yes. There's another percentage of probably about 10% either later on will come back to us out of that 25 that say no, that will then still come back later on. Or we may be called because of one child, but they have 2 other younger children, and when the 2 younger children get ready to go to school, now we get called because they knew about us the first time around,
Yeah.
and they with the older child.
Well, I mean, this is just such an excellent program, and it really touches my heart, because one of the whole reasons I'm doing what I'm doing with Be the Light is so that we can help our youth succeed. And I just think this is such an imperative and pertinent part of doing that. And I have had the opportunity to see the tutoring before. The mentoring I have not seen. Now, is that typically going to be adult mentoring, or will there be some peer mentoring there?
Can be both.
Can be both.
What we try to do is again, you try to surround the child with pro-social activities, adult activities, etc., where the child can just see exactly what's happening in the world. But you also want to get, if they don't have siblings in the school, you'd like to have them have a connection within the school. So what we try to do is get our juniors and seniors in the high school to come down and mentor the kids in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, so they can start to feel like, well, they've got somebody they can call if they don't want to talk to a parent or an older person. But you know, the big thing I think that you have to look at, my wife tutored a little girl over in Westfield, and the little girl, her mom was into drugs and prostitution. The dad was into drugs, and depending on who was out of jail was the custodial parent. And so this little girl, to her, that was her world. In other words, she would go to school because they told her to go to school, but she had no indication of what she was going to do with her life, except that she knew probably around 14 or 15 she was going to be pregnant. But that was her world, because everybody in her world, that's what they did. And so my wife, after being with her for about 6 months as a mentor, the little girl said to her, "You're a nice woman, but you know, why do I need to stay in school?" Which is a pretty tough question, but to this little girl, you know, in my career plan that I have set out for me, I don't need school.
Right.
And so my wife noticed, and I noticed also, this little girl just had a love of animals. I mean, and animals loved her back. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I mean, she could walk up to any animal that you'd even mention, and that animal would just, I don't care if it's wild or domesticated, it would respond to her. And my wife just calmly said to her one day, "Have you ever thought of being a veterinarian?" Well, she didn't even know what that meant. But then she said, would you like to work with animals for the rest of your life? And she said, "Well, yeah, what do I have to do?" And the simple answer, you got to stay in school, and then you'll go to Purdue, you'll go do this, do that. And, oh, okay. Now all of a sudden she had a vision or a reason to stay in school.
Yeah.
And that's all she needed, because now, sad story with the little girl, her dad died from an overdose. The mom they never found, so they don't know if she died from an overdose or it's just gone. And she went back to her grandmother in Florida. But that little girl still contacts my wife and says, "I'm still getting A's and B's."
Good.
Because she has a vision. So that's what
Yeah.
she's going to be a veterinarian or an assistant to a veterinarian one day, and that's going to be her life path now.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
What a great story. Well, a success story in that
Right,
regard.
right.
We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a moment with more Be the Light. So there was a statistic that I read in here.
You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Everyone knows it's easy to find first-run movies in the big theaters. But where can you go to watch your favorite classic movies on the big screen for the perfect night out? Why rent a flick when you can rent the entire theater? Call today to reserve our 32-seat theater for your next event or just stop by to see what's showing this weekend. The 14 by 7 foot screen and the high quality digital surround sound system offers all the amenities you would expect from the big theaters with a laid back atmosphere and comfortable seating of your own home. Wofford Theater at 1744 South 10th Street in Noblesville gives you the classic movies you want with a big theater experience.
You're up.
Hi, and welcome back to Be the Light. I am Denise Rezsonya, your show host, and we are back with Judge Nation talking about the Youth Assistance Program here in Hamilton County. Again, I'm very excited to have learned more about this program, and I do have some more points I'd like to talk to you about. One of the statistics we were just mentioning that I found pretty startling when I was looking through the research that you gave me, its costs, just to give people some idea of what an asset a program like this is to taxpayers. It costs approximately $2.40 per day to run the Westfield Youth Assistance Program. But to commit a child to the juvenile facility can run as much as $240 per day. That's a pretty staggering statistic right there.
In fact, we just got a report that last year we had 19 youths. Now, this is in various facilities, and some of them are very intense facilities, but it cost close to $14 million for 19 individuals.
Wow. Wow. Yes. So early intervention.
Yes.
Early intervention is the key. And keeping these children in school. Obviously, if we can keep them in school and get them the services that they and their families need, everyone's going to benefit and they're going to be much more successful going forward. The people that you use for, that are used in this program for volunteering and for mentoring, typically they would be people from the community, correct?
Correct.
So if people that are watching the show would want to be considered for such an opportunity, would they just go to the youthassistance.org website then?
Yes, they could.
Okay.
Or they could just go ahead, and that would probably be the easiest, is to go there and then, but each community has their own 501c3, so each one of them has an organization. So what we would do, it's set up by school district. So in other words, Carmel has one, Noblesville has one, Southeastern has one, Hamilton Heights, Sheridan, Westfield.
Okay.
So it's set up by their school district, and what we would do, we would refer you to the early intervention advocate in that jurisdiction, and then they would go ahead and say, what would you like to do? Would you like to mentor? Would you like to tutor? Would you like to go ahead and be part of the board? Would you like to be, because what we try to do, the services that we provide, it's a needs-based program. So in other words, we try to reach out to our children within that school district, and that we're trying to serve those children, and so that's what we're trying to do.
Well, and I think that's a really important point to make. It is needs-based per district. So what one school district needs, another one might have something else that they need. So
Oh, absolutely.
it's custom tailored in that regard.
In other words, the whole item that we have, the youth assistance, is a structure. But again, what your needs are based on your children. So in other words, if your children in this area need more mental health services, that's what you go ahead and you put your efforts into. If up here you need for drugs, that's fine, that's what we'll do there. We're always trying to deal with the children, and we're always trying to deal exactly with their needs. And that's why in our 6 school districts, every one of them looks different. And everyone has a different champion. In one you have a mayor, and another one you have a superintendent, in one you have a private organization. You have Scott Back up in Hamilton Heights, you have the Biddle Foundation over in Sheridan. You just have different people that want to take on that effort to try to help their community.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now, are the services provided for free for these families, or is there typically a cost associated with that?
Through the youth assistance, there is no cost.
Okay.
It is free. Now, you may receive counseling services or something like that
Mhm.
through Aspire. There would be a cost.
Okay.
But we try to always work with the kids and work with the families to see what we can go ahead and help them and how we can reduce that, or where we can find other revenue sources for that.
Okay, so there should be really no reason that anyone should need to hesitate if they need these services. If they hear about someone that needs these services, they should go ahead, contact the organization, and let them know.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's private, it's confidential. The children aren't labeled with a juvenile delinquent or anything like that. We are just coordinating services, and that's all we're doing.
Yeah.
So in other words, we're helping the kids out where we can, and just help get them to a point where they feel like they can succeed.
Yeah. And do you guys have any statistics on how successful the program's been?
The best way, and this is sort of a back way of saying it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When we started in 1995, we had referred in Hamilton County, the total Hamilton County, approximately 995 kids to the juvenile system,
Mhm.
okay? In 2014, we had 935. Now, if we go back to our statistics of our county population, in 1995, we were about around 140,000,
Mhm.
and now we are close to 310,000.
Yeah.
So we've had a great increase. We have three of our school districts in Hamilton County are in the top 10 school population districts in the state of Indiana, and we've exploded with kids in Hamilton County, but yet we've reduced the amount of kids going into the juvenile system. And that's our whole hope. We want to keep kids in school.
Yeah.
We don't want them to ever be in the juvenile system, because then we don't want them to go over into the adult system.
Absolutely.
We want them to be productive and have the completion of their lives.
Yeah. Well, again, I applaud you for coming and talking about this. I love this program. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And I hope that anybody watching who would like more information or would like to maybe volunteer to be part of helping out with it would go ahead and just take a look at the website, which is www.youthassistance.org. And I want to thank you, Judge Nation, for your time and coming to speak with me about this today. I also want to thank our show sponsors, Jim Wofford, Wofford Theater, and Hamilton County Television. And thank you guys so much for your time today. I will not be here next week. I'm taking a little breather for fall break, but I'll be back the following week. So thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.